Hello everyone. Today in our community 1.2 we'll discuss family and career balance. It's a very timely topic, especially in this time and age where we have career women and men and then family women and men. People want to have both. So it's very important that we learn to balance both effectively. So the family, of course, is the first place of learning. It's fun when you are the student where you have people guiding you, just leading you through along the journey of your life. You get all the support you need, you are scolded. But then there's another phase where you start working. The workplace is, of course, a place where you earn. So you either call the shots if you're a CEO or you work under pressure. You have someone to report to where you have to meet deadlines. And so there are times that you get tired at the end of the day. But these are two scenarios, right? You are in a family where you are being taken care of, you are assisted. But then imagine the case where you're now the teacher, you are the one calling the shots, giving out the instructions. So you are expected to be the superhero both at work and family. And yeah, it seems easy, right? But the truth is, we all want to be successful both in our homes and in our workplaces. That's if you're planning to have both. So everybody wants a good life, and to support that good life that we all want for our families, we want to work. So the pressure now is more than ever, where there are dreams, there is society, there's my financial issues, personal aspirations. So all of these things, we just group both of them, all of them rather, into two main groups, that's family and career. So everything that has to do with you would be family, and everything that has to do with work would be career. But the thing is, you're expected to function maximally in both the workspace and in the family space. So the thing is, remote work now makes the whole process different. So if you're working remotely, you are at home and you're handling family at the same time. Either you are learning to handle them simultaneously, or you now have learned to integrate both work and family into your little space. But the thing is, both will need your attention 100%. How are we going to manage that? That's what we're going to discuss today. Before we go ahead, let's look at reality check. But honestly, when you see people thriving, I get a lot of people going to meet me. Oh, Gloria, I see how well you're doing, you're able to manage your life. But the truth is, behind the closed doors, there's probably a whole mess. There are days that you're not able to do what you want to do. The dishes are there. You're not feeling it. You don't feel like getting up. There are days you question what you're doing in the first place, like, what am I doing? You're tired. It feels like you don't know you don't know your purpose anymore. But there are days that you feel amazing, right? The thing is, all of these feelings and scenarios put together is what makes life real. Is the reality we all have, and it doesn't magically disappear. Life won't magically get easier with time. No, time doesn't make it easier. It is you who would be you will now build your capacity to juggle all of the areas of your life, holding it together. And that's what will make life better, not time. So the older you get, of course, the more the responsibilities, the expectations, but time will not increase. You have the same 24 hours. But let's be careful of picture perfect, because there's actually no picture perfect. We are all struggling. We are all just out here doing our best. This is the reality of life, trying to make things work and just achieve our dreams. So, with that in mind, sometimes you question yourself, what if I just pick one? Society says choose. Why would you be the family woman or family man where you are juggling both, where you could just choose one? In fact, society has made things easy. You have young people deciding before they even become adults that they don't want to have children, they don't want to have families, and you have people already picking from a very tender age that they don't want to have a career, they just want to have their family. Now, that's fine. If your choice is to have one, great. But the real question is which to pick. The thing is, you have to be very sure what you want to achieve in your life, and you have to learn how to navigate the area that you choose. If your plan is to navigate both your career and your family, it's to do both without losing yourself. Because if you lose yourself in the first place, then there's no point. So we are here to know how to navigate both without losing ourselves. So the people you see as superheroes are just human beings just trying to navigate. You know, they've accepted that balance isn't perfect but strategic. People that you see thriving, they've learned to be strategic in their approach. They've learned to just accept some things the way they are and work hard to managing the things they can't accept, right? So it is strategy. The way you plan out other areas of your life is the same way you plan to ensure that both your family and your career life, they are in sync. So here, balance is not 50-50. Balance is not 50% from home, 50% to work. There are some days that balance would be 100% work, and some days that balance would be 100% home. There are days that balance would be 70% work, 90% home. So the math won't add up, right? But the point is, you have to be intentional about the equal splits. So balance isn't proportional. It doesn't have to be 50-50 to add up to 100. Now we go talk about the mindset you need to actually have a balance. The first stage in every success story or journey begins with the mind. You have to be mentally prepared for the next phase. You have to be mentally prepared for whatever you want to achieve. The mind is where everything works. So with growth comes weight, and the weight doesn't care if you're tired. Whether you just finished a 12-hour shift, when you're back home, you're expected to do certain things in the house. So your responsibility won't look at how tired you are, how overwhelmed you are. Responsibility will still be there. So now that we know that these things will always be there, we have to be mentally prepared to meet them head on, so that we'll not be overwhelmed, we'll not lose ourselves. So it's not about doing more, it's about carrying the capacity to handle more. So that's why we are preparing our mental preparing mentally to handle the responsibilities, because when we want to break them, it usually starts from the mental state. So we have to know how to switch, because there will be a constant switch between CEO and daddy, or CEO and mommy, or is somebody's staff and somebody's parent. So we have to learn to manage that. It could be the switch between somebody's child and your workplace. So the switch will be constant. So the mindset that changes everything is having the very important thing you have to tell yourself is you have to first of all define what having it all means. You have to define what having it all means. So you have to know what your purpose is and why you are actually handling your family and your career. What will happen if you lose out on one? Will it affect any part of your life? So if you have this at the back of your mind, for me, I knew that I wanted both. I wanted to thrive in my family, and I also wanted to thrive in my career. So if we get that set out, then the next step is you have to be kind to yourself. Being kind means being open to errors that would happen in your journey. So it means that there are some days you won't show up. Maybe you miss an important event in your home. You would miss one of your friends' birthday, and that's fine. You won't meet up with the deadline because maybe you have personal issues. That's totally fine. So you have to learn to open up your heart to the things that would come around, the negative things you would experience managing both. And also remember, like we said before, that success is not perfection. It is showing up and staying put to your responsibility. And you have to deal with guilt, because guilt is the enemy. Guilt is your enemy. Guilt will come to question your abilities and make you feel bad for not showing up. But when you have your mind prepared for the lapses that would come with handling two major areas of your life, you'll be able to tell guilt that no, I know that I'm not measuring up in this area, but this is, I'm putting in my best and I'm going to put in the effort. So if you have this mindset shift, it would make the next phase very easier. It will make the next phase easy rather. So nobody nails this overnight. Nobody's going to say that if you wake up and tell yourself, I can do this, that you're going to do it. No. But the ones who last, they are those that they adapt and they don't quit. Now let's talk about the strategy we need. So, well, where there is no shame in seasons, there are seasons that are mercy, right? There are seasons where you show up prepared, all glammed up, and you feel like you can take the world, you can do whatever you want to do. But then there are seasons where it's messy. If you are just running around with some kid, you are doing chores for your family, and work might be terrible and all of that. You should remember that each season is significant. But I can assure you this, that people, there are so many cases of people who have lost themselves because they gave up an essential part of their lives. Some people that had great dreams, aspirations, they wanted to raise their family while working, but they couldn't handle the pressure. They gave in to one and they gave up the other. So there are so many cases of that, and those people, they live in guilt. I can assure you that the struggle of handling two things that you love is much more better and easier than the guilt of giving up on something that you really love. You can struggle and complain about the stress of juggling your life, but the guilt of not doing that which you wanted to do, which you dreamt about, is what is worse than the struggle. So please don't give up on your dream. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but is it impossible? Definitely not. So unless you know that one path is fully clear for you, that's when you can take one path. But if you know that you want both, you have to ensure that you do both. And we'll talk about the things that we need to ensure that we succeed at both. But remember that there are some days that we will leave some things behind. We might not be able to meet up with our family responsibilities. We might not do at work. We should also know that it's okay. It's okay. You should be able to identify the essential things that you need to do and what seems urgent and important. That's what counts. Our ability to identify the things that you need to do and stay put is what counts. It makes sense, so that you are focusing on the things that you need to do rather than the things that is not essential. All right, moving on to practical strategies for balancing family and career. Here we have 7 strategies that, when applied, is going to help you manage both your family and your career. The first one, and I think is the most important, is get the right support. Support is everything when it has to do with juggling between family and your career. You need people, you need your support. For me, when it's overwhelming, I'll call my sister and she does the same. Like, wow, I'm going through this. In fact, I don't even know how I'm feeling right now. And then we'll laugh about it. We'll talk about when she's talking to me, I'm telling her, oh, I felt this way too. I know, I understand. Now, when you have somebody you can share that with and that can relate with what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. It goes a very long way to helping you deal with whatever you're doing. So support is very, very important. The second is prioritization. So you have to learn to skip non-essential meetings to attend to what's important. So before now, maybe you had time to do seasonal movies, you watch 7 hours a day, you have all the time to do the very things that you needed. They are important to you, but they are not essential. But as your responsibility increases, you will learn to prioritize so that you will reduce the stress you have. Stress of trying to complete something that you could complete later and you're not competing with something that's really urgent and important. So you have to learn to prioritize. Write down the things that you need to do and arrange them in the order of most important. Focus on them, because if you achieve the most important task, is then you will get more satisfaction. But if you do those ones that are not really important, you will not get satisfied, right? And the next is seasons over perfection mindset. You have to accept that some phases are more important than others. Yes, you have to accept that phases will come, seasons will come. And like we said, success here is not like what everybody would define as success. It might be that maybe you would just want to have a child. That would mean so much to you. That would be your success. Why people won't see that as something that is very significant, to you is something that is very significant. So you have to focus on your seasons over perfection, knowing that there are some seasons that are very significant and will help you move to the next stage of your life. The next is energy banking. You have to protect your mental and physical health. You have to run away from bad energy or conversations that will discourage you. Personally, I'm someone that is really I'm influenced by what I hear and see. So I discovered that early enough, and I had to do away with whatever that will influence or impact my mental health negatively. So if I'm in the midst of a conversation, in the middle of a conversation, and then people are saying wrong things, I'm going to leave immediately. I'm not going to see or watch whatever thing I know that is not going to help me mentally. So that's what you have to do. You can't be in the midst of people going against what you are trying to figure out, right? You're trying to figure out how to help your family. Maybe you are the last born, you're living with your mom, and you are trying to help out, and your friends are those who believe that helping our family is immature. So you have to cut off from people that do not either support your journey or they don't believe in your journey. Remove them because you don't need them. You have to be in the right place, and you need to listen to the right words, because whether you like it or not, they will impact your journey. And number 5, you have to learn to set boundaries. Very important, especially now that people work remotely. You have to learn to set boundaries between family time and work time. You have to take time to rest, take time for yourself, even if it's a minute, to just sit and relax. Shifting from boss mode to parent mode, you have to, or from boss mode to sister mode to brother mode, you have to learn to set boundaries. Don't carry your work to the house as much as you can, and when you are at work, you have to also learn not to carry a lot of your family to your work. Number 6 would be self-motivated. This should be top 2 for me. Number 1 would be get the right support, and number 2 for me would be self-motivated. You have to remind yourself that life is in phases, and there are days you'll have no energy to show up. Your family roles will drain you, while other days you will be drained from working on a project you love, right? Some days are good, some seasons will be amazing, but you have to hold yourself and not to lose yourself in the midst of the tough days. You have to, external motivation is okay, but you need to be self-motivated to push you so that you can manage both areas of your life. If you're depending so much on external motivation, you might not get you so far. So you have to learn to push yourself, to remind yourself why you started what you're doing now in the first place, to remind yourself of the good days and the amazing days you had, and that the tough days won't last. All right, and finally, guilt reframing. When the guilt comes, you have to be able to tell yourself that I know I'm missing out. Maybe you're someone that's really active on social media, or you're not able to hang out as much as you would want to or you used to. You have to tell yourself or remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, or you're not able to keep up with friends that they don't actually support you. They're just there to drain you, and you're cutting off from them, and you're feeling like you're a bad person. You have to remind yourself why you are doing what you're doing, so that guilt will not hold you down. You have to be strategic about your thinking when the guilt comes. That's why it's very important to have a reason for doing what you're doing, so that when the guilt comes, you're able to say no, and you know that I'm not reaching out to this person anymore, but that's because I do not have the time to do that, and I'm doing this and that with my time. All right, we have come to the moment of truth, where we will now evaluate ourselves to see where we are and the things that we need to do to move ahead. So this self evaluation contains 5 questions with A, B, and C. So you're going to pick one answer from each question. So the first is, when facing overwhelming days, I typically A, call my support system immediately, B, push through alone until I crash, C, alternate between reaching out and isolating. You have to be very honest with yourself, so that you will know where you are and how to move forward. Don't pick what seems right, just pick what is your situation. Number 2 is, my approach to responsibilities is A, ruthlessly prioritize and delegate what I can. B, try to do everything myself until I'm exhausted. C, prioritize well at work but struggle at home. Pick yours. Number 3, when transitioning between work and family roles, I A, always use my 10-minute walk ritual. B, physically move locations but mentally stay in work mode. C, sometimes transition well but other times bring stress home. Now, what's your answer? Number 4, during tough phases, I remind myself, A, this is just a season. B, I should be handling this better. C, sometimes accept cities but other times self-criticize. What's your answer? And number 5, the last question, when guilt hits about missing events, I A, reframe it as a strategic investment. B, internalize it as potential failure. C, fluctuate between rationalizing and self-blame. Now, I'm sure you've picked an answer from number 1 to 5. If your answers were mostly A's, you've got the framework nailed. Your boundaries and self-awareness are strong. Just keep working. But if they are mostly B's, no problem. You're burning both ends. You have to revisit your strategy. You need to visit support and get better. And if it's C, well, you're halfway there. You will get better. This will help you to know where you are and the things that you need to do to get better. And finally, remember that you don't need to choose between being present at work and at home. You do not need to try to compare and contrast which area you should invest more on, but you need to be intentional. You need to be disciplined and be ready to cut off what does not serve you, what does not serve the life you want to build. You should be ready to cut it off so that you have less pressure. And this isn't about balance, it's about alignment. It is about the choices you make and the choices that match your values. Now, when you're working towards your purpose, the weight will not reduce. The seasons, the stress that comes to working will not reduce. But the difference is that it will be worth carrying the weight. When you're doing something that you really love, the stress will be there, it will not be gone. The hard work will be there, it will not go, but it will be worth it. We all know how it feels when we are doing something that is really essential, something that we really love. We'll stay put because we know that this would be worth it. This is what we want to achieve in our family and career balance. We want to make the journey something that we look forward to and something that we want to achieve with the mindset that is totally worth it. When you have the mindset that this is a phase, this is a journey, and it's totally worth it, the weight will not literally reduce, but it will not break you down. It will help you stay strong. You'll be thriving both at home and at work, and you would know when to say no. You would know when to rest. You would know when to take a break to reevaluate your plans and your process. So thank you for joining. I hope this helps you bring a balance to your work and your career. And if you are scared, I'm sure this will also support your journey, that and would help you know that people are actually thriving and doing well in their family and career. It's not easy, but it's totally worth it. So I want us to get to the point where we say it's not easy, but it's worth it, because we'll look back and say, yeah, it's worth it. We sacrificed and it actually paid off. That's what we want to achieve. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.